Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by me, Erica Firpo, a travel journalist based in Rome. Each episode of Ciao Bella, I sit down with Italy's creators, contemporary artists and artisans, designers, culinary experts, heritage brands, and innovative aesthetes, and more who are defining and redefining 21st century Italy. Pull up a chair and join in. Hey there, and welcome back to Ciao Bella. In this episode, I'm talking shoes, but not just any shoes. Beautiful, fairytale, Cinderella-loving shoes. The kind that you're going to fall in love with. Join me with Edoardo Cavovilla, COO and creative director of René Caovilla, the legendary Veneto shoemaker. Let's jump right in. So I'm curious, let's go back to the very beginning because, as we're talking, I want to introduce everybody to René, all my listeners, to René Caovilla. And I know René Caovilla as, when I lived in Los Angeles, as beautiful stilettos, sparkle, colorful, like magical princess shoes, or like even like fairy shoes. But that was, I think that started about 20 years ago that we started seeing it out there. But let's go back to the very beginning. So from what I understand, René Caovilla started in 1934.
Yes, we found out either some document 1928.
Ah.
1928, with my grandfather Edoardo, the grandfather who started the company. I have the pleasure to have the same name, and he was an employee at the beginning, a very humble family, and he decided to start alone the same activity where he was working on. He was an employee of a shoes factory, and but he was a philosopher, and he was thinking radically that even if in that period was tough time between the two world wars, he was really conscious and convinced that in the future there should have been again time to appreciate the beauty. And that in the future, he used to believe a lot in the future and the evolution of persons and evolution of the world. I don't know if should have been happy if he kept alive now, understanding what is the world. But in any case, compare those years, compare the first and second World War, right now is for sure much better. And he decided to be specialized in only women, very defined shoes. And he started designing for his wife, my grandmother, Rita. And the first very feminine shoes has been dedicated to her. And he went through the first 2 decades of this company, 3 decades. And then he became quite ill, even if he died only in 1985, but around 1950 he got ill, and he used to have a very strong headache, and so it was the time to my father. My father was 16, 18, and said, "Would you like to go ahead with the studies, with university, whatever, or you like to try to manage this?" And he decided to go in this direction, and he took the same direction of my grandfather. He took the idea to be number one in one specific niche, and the love of my father was, and is either now, only the sandals, high heel sandals. That was his love since the beginning, and this is the reason why is our company has been known for most of the years around the world for the very stiletto, sexy sandal, high sandal. And then 10 years ago, when the family, we are a small conglomerate. We have 7 different branches of business, so it's something more than what it appears, thanks God. And I was already with my own business independent business, and was managing already some other business and of the family. And the family asked me to manage either the fashion one, and in terms of CEO was quite easy because I was used to manage really bigger companies. And as a creative side, there was a question mark. But I thought at that time that if I should have took someone that designed the shoes, in any case, it could not have been a good solution, because in the case that it was a success, he became the image of the company, and he became the company. In the case that he was not good in the business, I was throw the money out of the window. So in any case, it was not a story that was fitting my idea of. So I started to design. I've been lucky because I've seen from my grandfather and my father how to do. But when you start to have the pencil in your hand, it's completely different. So I practice a lot. I start to study the market, understanding, and I start to practice my creativity. That honestly, from what I understood only a few years later, has been always part of me, because all my houses, my yacht, my first yacht, and whatever has been designed 100% by me. So yeah, I'm quite a good chef. I'm a player. I play piano quite well. So
it's always been there.
A part of creativity is within me, for sure, since the beginning.
I wanted to ask you, because I know what the shoes are like now. As I was mentioning, I love the store in Rome. I love the boutique in Venice is beautiful. But I also know that prior to having your own boutiques, René Caovilla also worked with designers like I believe it was Balenciaga, Chanel. Is that correct?
Oh, well, yes, it's correct. A few people are known exactly the reason why my father was doing that. The reason was that, and I remember because I was like a young teenager at that time, he was really a good friend of, and is still now a friend of Valentino, a friend of Karl Lagerfeld, friend of the head of Chanel, and was a friend of Ralph Lauren. So 90% of our production has been always only dedicated by to René Caovilla.
Okay.
A small part was dedicated to these brands, but the real idea was for him to be in contact more often with friends and have a reason why to meet with his friends.
Oh, it's just an excuse.
The excuse, yes, it was a mix of small business but big excuse. So but it's been also very pleasure for all of them to work together, because I remember with Mr. Ralph Lauren, my father Ralph Lauren, sits drawing something, designing. But there was a lot of esteem between themselves, and it's been gorgeous. I grew up in this environment, and when it was my time to start designing, that memories was very useful.
Now, when I think of René Caovilla sandals, aside from beautiful stilettos and beautiful colors, I also think of Swarovski crystals. I think of sparkles. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I think the environment where you grow is really push you in a certain direction. It means that the family has been lucky enough to grow in Venice, to grow close to Venice. And the harmony of the colors, the proportions, the beauty of all the elements surrounding you, and either the sparkling moments of Venice, because the lights and the material, the gold and whatever has influenced the choice and the taste of my family in the background, in the back years. And when it was my grandfather period, the maximum that he was traveling was to Verona. That was 3-4 hours by bicycle. And the maximum for my father was okay. At the end, it was either United States or something. China was nothing. Emirates was pretty nothing. Whatever it is. So the way and the place where you used to live was influencing you a lot. And we have been lucky enough to grow close to Venice. So the idea of beauty proportion was really linked to our DNA and to the taste of the family. And this is the history.
You know, one of the things I love is that your family calls the shoes oggetti d'arte chiamate scarpe. So art objects that are called shoes. And it's really interesting when I was just in Venice the other day, and when you talked about the sparkles of the crystals, that is like the light when it hits the canal. I can totally see the influences.
Exactly. When you enter in the San Marco Church Cathedral.
Ah, yeah, with the bits of gold, the gold mosaic. Now, you know, one of the things I think is amazing is that you mentioned your grandfather. The farthest he got was on bicycle Verona. You know, he kept it very local, and the shoes themselves are still made locally. They're made in Fieso d'Artico. Is that correct?
Yep.
I mean,
perfectly. I think first of all, we have been always a really supporter of Made in Italy, and we trust and we are very grateful to the fact that we grow in a country like Italy where hundreds of different cultures are there. You know, the culture of food, the culture of architectural culture, or Dante and the literal culture, and the wine culture, and so all these elements for an Italian person that grow, especially in that part of northeast of Italy, where there is a mix of all this country. The idea to move away the production in other places was something that needed touch our head in the last years, even if when it seems at that time that it was profitable to move away. But I think there is something really evident right now in the market that is the only luxury brand or group, they belong to families. Because when you own something, you always think about not you, your kids, or either nephew, something that go more over than you. And when you are able to make the decision, to take the decision long term, without anything linked only to the bonus or linked to the turnover or to the profits, you're able to build something that has a really strong fundamental. So it's mainly, you know, and Chanel and Hermes are the two only luxury company in the world, the reality, because they take the decision long term, and that was what we did, normally did in the last decades when we were speaking about production. And Arnault Group, even if it is a group of different brands, but the way that Mr. Arnault is managing the decision, they are only managing in the long term. So only the family is not a solution, only manager is not a solution. But a good manager with a long-term view or timing of a family is a good one.
You know, I think you really hit something on the head, which is the Italian excellence. You know, one of the things that I love about Italy is the quality. When something is made, when it made in Italy, can be made very, very, very well done. I have a question though for you. How is it that there are so many, not so many, why are Italians so good at shoes? Because there are Italian? I've noticed there are so many incredible shoes that come out of Italy. So many incredible minds that come out of Italy, designing beautiful shoes, making beautiful shoes, beautiful, comfortable shoes. You know, along with the many other things, because you brought up something really great. Italy, and especially Northern Italy, is a great mix of food, industry, art, culture. It's got like all the right things at the right time in the right place. And, you know, and there are some, and, you know, there's also in that mix are incredible shoemakers such as, or shoe designers such as Caovilla. What is it like? I can't think of other places that really have all of that plus shoes. What is it about Italians?
If I have to say about the creativity side, it's linked to our, we are Latin and we are a warm population. We are very open to people, and this I think is something related to our origin. I'm proud to be Italian, but more than this, I'm proud to be Latin. I'm very, either when they ask me, okay, you the designer, you have a family. Why you have a family? I say, guys, I'm not. I am in this way. Normally in fashion, the gay community is very big, very strong. But I am really a Latin man with a family, with my wife, and I think this as being Latin has a very strong connection with our creativity, because the sun, the sea, the nature. If you grow up in I don't know, Frankfurt, again. You could be creative, but see, the environment doesn't help you. Okay, and again, the environment has a strong influence of what you do. And then there are some historical reason. For example, the reason why around Venice has been the shoes industry has been so much developed in the past years is because for a certain reason, for a curiosity, Mr. Voltan, that was a person that around 1995 went with an old boat, went through the Atlantic Ocean, arrived in the States, stopped, and he understood the idea, Industrial Revolution. So there's not anymore one person doing one shoes or something like this, but all the cooperation between people, Mm-hmm. And he came back and became #1 in Europe. And my grandfather was an employee of Mr. Voltan.
Ah.
So at the end, if you drill a little bit, you will find also always a fun historical momentum that describes the development. And you know what that my grandfather was one of the 6 persons that came out from Voltan factory. And at the end, the other 5 in either Voltan, they closed, they bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
My father started to give money to them to help them to start again, because he understood that in the case that he was the only one, he was not able to create a district. And the economy over there starts again and blah, blah, blah. So there are always some reason linked to human case and something, I think, the environment and the surrounding area where you live. So it's a mix of the two.
Now, I'm looking at your beautiful boat behind you, and I know that you have a lot of passions, not just business and not just René Caovilla. And I was actually, someone said to me, you should really ask him what his passions are in Italy. So I would love to know from, what you love to do outside of work. Because I see you seem like the kind of man that, you're very passionate about your work and you're very passionate about your play. So I'd love to know a little bit about that.
Yes, I always trust that my grandfather used to say, mens sana in corpore sano. That means if you grow if you grow well physically, it means that either your mind, your mentality, and your mindset grow properly. So I grew up with this idea of being sportive, and I really, since the beginning, I was in love with doing several different sports. And then I became professional in water polo and basketball. In fact, I'm in love. In this period, I'm passing all the nights up watching NBA. The playoff NBA.
Wait, who's your favorite team?
Lakers.
Oh my goodness.
After 10 years, it seems is the year. Okay.
And you played water polo.
And then I played a lot of years either water polo, yeah. and now I do triathlon. So this morning at 6 o'clock, I was out running, and I like this. And honestly, starting to have kids that are able to follow me, the biggest pleasure that I have now is stay with them in the nature and doing whatever sports we like to do together. And the first time has been 2 years ago when my smallest René is number 3. Now I have the number 4. There's another baby, another man, another boy. But that time René was the smallest. At 5 years, was already able to play golf in the court.
Oh wow!
And we went together. With that time there were Sofia 10, Delfina 6, 7. And René was only 4 or 5, and with my wife, and we went to play golf all together for a long weekend and staying together, whatever. So honestly, if people tell me now, time, sports, quality time with family in the sports, and food and wine, because I like to cook, I like to drink. I need to play sports because otherwise I became quite fat. But I sport a lot, trying to maintain
Okay,
an acceptable.
So you're from the Veneto. I would love to know, since you like to cook, what your favorite dish is.
From Veneto is a small. Come si chiama la capesante?
The capesante is scallops.
Scallops. It's a small scallops grill, and you eat it like this.
That's perfect.
Of Venice, because then I grew up there. I have a wife comes from Naples, so we have a farm in Tuscany. So
okay, you guys are a mix then.
Wherever you go in Italy, you could find something where you really enjoy a good dinner or lunch.
I agree. Well, I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the shoes. So I wanted to ask you, what is the future of, what do we have in the near future for René Caovilla?
Yes, now we are very focused in passing by these particularly tough years. But honestly, I'm expecting that in the early spring, some medicines, some vaccines should arrive. Then we need to wait a little bit. That is available for everyone around the world. But I think so. Right now, in the short time, we're focusing in really pay attention in numbers, investment in quality, whatever. I think that immediately after my goal is to try to develop this company to being well known not only for the shoes but for other categories.
Such as?
From what I want to develop Caovilla is what they call Vuvu Lab, that is worldwide women luxury accessory brand. And because I think we have a really specific DNA, thanks God, and we are very distinguishable within other shoes brand. And if we have a customer, thanks God we have, that like our DNA and our way to manage the embroidery things or whatever, if you decline in different aspects, you will be able to develop either a nice business to give the idea of more an accessory brand and not only the shoes factory or shoes brand. So this is something that is in my schedules in the next 2 years, that the company will be listed, I think in 3 years. So I have a really clear idea where to go and when is the right time to do something. Now the COVID has slowed down a little bit all the program, but it's only expanding.
Chi va piano va lontano e sano, sì?
Exactly. And sano is the key word. Until the God gave us the health.
Exactly.
1 year more, 1 year after doesn't change.
You know what I wanted to ask you? I have one last question that I wanted to ask you, and because I want to make sure this is correct. you can, I mean, your shoes, you can customize your shoes. Is that correct? Is that possible? Yes. Okay. So, and how, is that only in certain boutiques, or is that in all boutiques, or how does that work?
There are different ways to the customization is possible to be done. I want to say in all boutiques, it's possible to customize in terms of colors and Swarovski and some aspects. Then there are some different kind of customization. In the next, let me say, spring, summer, we will have also a very nice snake and shoes with the customization of charms, where will be a mix of elements coming from Venice, from where René Caovilla name and your name, whether you can play. And for few really specific and special customers that are ready to pay
really specific prices, yes.
We do either special products, special designing, specialist, but it's something more linked to queens, to lady that want to have only done by them, and they call us and want only done by you, and blah blah blah. So there are different kind of customization.
Okay, last question, and then we're done. What is your favorite shoe? You said your father's is the high-heeled sandal.
Yes, in terms of category of shoes, either for me, I think the sandal compared to the closed shoes is more linked to summer. I'm more a fish than a man, so for me, water and summer is the year. For me, winter is only 2 months of bad weather within 2 summers. And I think the Galaxia, the sandal that I have done, that has I've designed it 3 years ago. Then I think from the success of my grandfather has been the Rita, the one dedicated to the wife. The success of my father has been the snake, that has become our iconic shoes.
One that wraps around.
My killer shoes has been, what the design has been the Galaxia. That is the one that involves very relaxing. If you write the Galaxia René Caovilla, you want to see. It's an elastic socks.
With all with the sparkles, with the Swarovski. Oh no, is it Swarovski on it?
It's elastic. It's something I think.
Yeah.
It's very,
it is a very, very rock and roll cool shoe. That is a beautiful show. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me this afternoon.
It's been really a pleasure, and whatever is the next vacation and you arrive in Italy, please let me know, and we're going to spend some time together.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
You know I loved this episode because I love shoes. So thanks, Ciao Bella listeners. And if you want to enter the wonderland of Caovilla, visit renecaovilla.com. ReneCaovilla.com. And then please tell me your favorites. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. If you'd like to know more about today's guest, please visit ciaobella.co and click on the podcast link, or go directly to ciaobella.co/podcast. Want more Italy? You can find all my episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher. When you have time, subscribe to iTunes and rate the podcast. What are you waiting for? And if you want to be part of the podcast, email me or DM me your Italy questions. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao, Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Disc to Disc Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella, who continue to make me sound and feel great.